Check, check, check. Audio's good. And Logan, you are number one. Welcome aboard. We are up on both YouTube and Instagram. Welcome aboard. It is 1300 on the East Coast. Henry, welcome. Mid-America, welcome aboard. Hey, Wes, this thing is on. Are you hearing these words that are coming out of my mouth? Happy Sunday. It's funny. The stream says, I love this. I love this system. Oh, it does say 3 concurrent viewers, 1 like. Okay. We'll just trust the force. Well, good morning. We have a interesting topic today. I don't think I'm going to say it's a fun topic, but it is an interesting topic. So we'll be getting on that in a second. Oh, there we go. The YouTube information is starting to update. Excellent. Good. Just so you guys know, we're going to do all the preliminaries and schmoozing and updates and that kind of stuff. And we'll aim to get to topic at 10 minutes after the hour. And the reason for that is a lot of people are stragglers, and I want to make sure we get everybody into the room before we start our discussion. Judy, welcome. And I apologize if I use the first part of your handle as your name, although I'm pretty sure that Adam is Adam. Good morning, sir. Nice to see you. Melly, welcome. Probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm trying. So it is a beautiful day here in southern New Hampshire. Really beautiful day here. We've had the windows open the last 2 days, and it is gorgeous. So we're... Yes, sir. Otomoto is a new grinder that you don't know about. I will be happy to explain it to you and help you perhaps put you in the driver's seat of a brand new one. Would you like that, sir? I think you would. Chris, welcome. Good morning. You got your Class A uniform on, Chris, and your weapon cleaned? By the way, that's not a personal question. Almost Machining is here. Now we could start the party. Welcome aboard. So, Wes, you're liking the YouTube performance? You've been mowing. You know, mowing's going to happen here pretty soon. Paul Morley says, good afternoon. Windows open, LOL. Maybe in about 2 months if we're lucky. That's in the great state of Tejas. Yeah, it was unusually brutal here for a couple of weeks, and it's very nice now. What I would call normal around here. Good morning. I keep saying good morning, by the way. Just go with it. I know it's afternoon. Even on the East Coast, it's afternoon. You know what? Chris, I went to the post office looking for your test parts twice on Friday. No, I went on Saturday. They did not arrive yet. So if I had a guess, I would say they'll be here tomorrow. NY, welcome. Fabian, welcome. So for those of you who have not been paying close and careful attention, the pragmatic machinist Chris sent me some parts for hardness testing. We're going to do some science, and they are not quite here yet. And Southern Idaho is reporting good. Wes says he's working today and filling chip bins. Listen, filling chip bins is kind of what we do, isn't it? Good. Well, we're doing great here. If you'll notice, the shop is quiet, but I turned off the noise suppression filter on the audio processing for YouTube. Only YouTube's going to hear this. And you may hear some room ambiance for you YouTube guys. Hey, Deflagrate is here. How you doing, sir? Carl, how you doing? Where do you go for Galvo laser parameter settings? So I'm not a Galvo user, but I am a laser user. So the question is, which flavor laser? I don't know. I get my settings, my initial settings came from Epilogue, because I have an Epilogue laser. But then we do all sorts of experimenting. So get ready to experiment. That's kind of how it works. Mr. DJ Berg, who sounds like a new name but is actually an old name, says, after a long search, the remote was found and the shop TV streams again. Excellent. Well, if I'm up on a 72-inch screen hanging in your shop, I'm honored. Yeah, it's the only way to do it is to experiment with your laser settings. I recently did a job with MHM Machining. It was, a Heyman help out a friend job for a thing he was making for a family, and we had to engrave brass. And I think it was my first time, except for maybe screwing around, actually engraving brass with the fiber laser. And we got there, but we did a lot of experiments. We had to experiment. And we arrived, and we did the job, and it was delivered. So that was good. Paul Morley says, in Dallas, we had 2 days where the high was below 100 in July. 3 days of 109. Wow. Almost swapped over to YouTube. The desert is hot and humid today. Not fun for anything in the shop. So apparently I'm on only a 55-inch TV. I'm still honored. I'm 52 divided by 72 honored. Welcome aboard, Mo and CNC Nikandish. Does Epilogue have settings to print laser parameters on a sample print? No, but you could make that happen. I use Adobe Illustrator, and what you can do is you make some artwork and you give it a color, and then you can make some other artwork and the same thing, give it a color, and then you send it over to the laser. It comes up in the laser desktop, they call it, and then you assign colors different processes, and then you say go. So it'll print the stuff that you did in red with one process, which could be a power level or a frequency or a travel rate, and it'll print everything in blue with that other recipe. So that's how you would do it in my universe. Brooklyn Metal, I am saluting, sir. My hometown. Are you really in Brooklyn of the New York, or are you in the other Brooklyn, which I will not mention? Or have we talked about this before? Okay. It is, in fact, 10 minutes after the hour, and I'm sure we're going to get more people coming in a bit, but I think I want to get started here. So the topic today, unfortunately, is scams, and in particular, the scams that have been happening on Instagram to members of our community. And I'm particularly glad that this will be posted on Instagram and this will be posted on YouTube. For a lot of reasons, I'm glad. But there are some people that have already been scammed out of their Instagram accounts, and I'm hoping that they are watching this on YouTube and at least take some solace in that. Not only myself, but a lot of us are quite offended by what's been going on, and we're going to fix this. So my goal today is to educate and maybe offer some solutions. And by solutions, I mean that we have to. Here's the thing: I don't want to make you immune to the scams. I want to make you a teacher for others to pass this knowledge on. And the side effect is you're going to be immune to the scams. So we're going to break the discussion today down into two basic pieces. The first piece is the particular scams that are happening on Instagram that have affected our community and is pissing me off. The second half is going to be general internet security cleanliness, best practices, how you and the people you're going to teach are able to stay secure on the internet. And surprisingly, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, surprisingly, none of the technical stuff that I'm going to teach you about security okay. Adam the Machinist, who I respect greatly, says, before we get going, would anybody be interested in screen shooting a link I send you? ? Put your answers in the chat. Anyway, so the surprising result of today's discussion is going to be that there is not a technical solution. Nerds, I'm not saying who's a nerd around here, but nerds like technical solutions. Okay, we like to know it's 2.4 inches per minute and everything's good. The surprising result is it is not a technical solution. There are technical things you need to do to keep yourself safe on the internet. Yes, we will be discussing them. Yes, but the big thing is not a technical thing. So let's get into it. Welcome, Dan. Dan is near the heart of where it all started. Okay, if you're on YouTube, you're in luck. You're going to get to see some graphics here. Yeah, Mr. Morley, you got it. Let me just read you what he said, because this is a good summary, and you'll see. You can tell me later if I nailed it. Paul Morley says, start by treating any and all unsolicited messages as a potential scam. Never, ever click a link or reply until you've done mental vetting of the message/request. Guilty until determined to be innocent. That is excellent. You're right. Thanks. See ya. Just kidding. You're absolutely right. So I want to get into this, and then we can have these discussions. I think we're going to be in violent agreement when all this is done. But I want to encapsulate some simple things that we can teach. Now, here's the thing. Don't participate here unless you're committed to teaching this to the people that follow you. and I'm not kidding. This is super important. When we're done, I didn't have time to do it first, but when we're done today, I'm going to make a post that is going to have our rules of how to kill this scam. And I'm talking about the internet screenshot scam. You guys are welcome to copy that graphic and steal it, and I want to see it everywhere, because we're gonna shut this thing down. Okay, so let's get going. Two goals today: stop the Instagram screenshot scam. That's goal one, and number two, we're going to promote good security overall. So let's talk about how the Instagram screenshot scam works. Now, unfortunately, if you're on Instagram, I have this graphic up, which is now backwards, but I'm going to speak this into existence. And when you get a chance, you can. It'll be on the YouTube, and this document that I created will be available from my link in the bio. It is not there yet. So let's talk about how this Instagram screenshot scam, which heretofore will just be known as the screenshot scam. So here's how it works. You have an attacker. Now, these attackers are sitting in pretty well-known places, okay? There's a city, well, there's actually a couple of cities in India where a lot of scamming is headquartered. And I don't use that term loosely. It's a business, okay? And also Nigeria, same thing. It's a business. So I want you to imagine a boiler room of like telephone operators doing, scam calls, except it's not scam calls, it's on the internet. This is what it is. It's a boiler room. There are 20, 30, 40 people sitting in front of computers doing this all day long. They get paid in cash based on their output. There are videos on YouTube that describe all of this stuff. But let's move on. So number one, the attacker compromises an account and thus has access to the list of followers on the account. Now, how does this happen? It's like the chicken and egg problem. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? It almost doesn't matter, okay? And in this case, it's the same thing. It doesn't really matter how that first account gets compromised. It could be an email scam. It could be any one of a number of things. So let's just ignore that. And you'll see in a second why this is not important when we discuss the mathematics of this. Okay? So the account gets compromised, which means that, Joe Smith has an Instagram account. He's got, 500 people following him. And all of a sudden one day, Joe can't log into his account. It's gone. And somewhere in, I don't know, let's say India, there's a guy that now has the username and password for that account. Number two, he identifies a target on the list of followers for that account. Okay. Now, you wouldn't want a follower that has one person following them, but Instagram makes it pretty easy to find out how many followers people have. So you pick a follower that has a lot of followers, and now the game starts. So now he's identified another target from that list, and he says, "You are the target." He sends a direct message on Instagram Messenger, and that direct message says, "I'm going to send you a link. Would you do me a favor and screenshot that link and send it back to me?" Okay? And I'm going to go through the whole process, and then we're going to come through and analyze each of these pieces. So somebody on this followers list gets that message and says, "Oh, Joe, who I know real well, who's a good friend of mine, maybe even a personal friend of mine, says, 'Hey, I'm going to send you a link. Can you screenshot it?'" Of course, no problem. So in comes a link. Now, this link didn't come from him. It came from Instagram. Okay? Because now the attacker go immediately, and this is a time-limited thing. This is something I don't think I made super clear in my notes, is that the attacker goes to Instagram, tries to log into that account, and says, I forgot my password. Instagram says, oh, no problem. We're going to send you a link. You have 5 minutes to log in on that with that link and change your password. And the attacker now says, hey, no problem. So he sends the link to Alice, okay? And Alice then dutifully screenshots the link and sends it back on Messenger to Joe, who asked nicely, okay? Now the attacker, again, sitting in India somewhere, takes that link and types it in and goes to that link. Okay? Just checking messages here. So the attacker goes to that link, and immediately Instagram recognizes it and says, oh yeah, hey, sorry you lost your password. Set a new password. The attacker sets a new password. Done. The attacker now has your username, your password, owns your account. What does the attacker now do? Repeats the process. But the attacker now, is going to get a message, like you'll see in some of the text messages. They are trying to extort money. So they're going to get to somebody, and they're going to steal the account, and somebody's going to contact them and say, what do I have to do to get my account back? And they're going to say, you just have to send me Bitcoin. So that's the process. That's the unfortunate process. And we will take a look at some more details about that. Just a quick check between everybody on YouTube and everybody on Instagram. How many people who live right now have received one of these messages? In the chat, just indicate that you have received one of these messages. First of all, I have received this message myself multiple times. I think at least twice. And I'm interested to see who else who's here today have received that message. Nick says yes. Dan says yes. Paul Morley says yes. Firmworks is here, and he says 3 different accounts. Adam says several. Yep. NYDLS says got one. Yeah, they thought they were being clever. Wes says several. Adam says he sends them a selfie. Is that the solution? Do they start running in the other direction? Okay. Without being rigorous on this survey, I would say it's pretty obvious that at least our group has received a lot of these. So what do they look like? So here's what it looks like. I'm holding up a piece of paper, of course, to the Instagram guys, but I will read it to you. So one of the guys I follow sends me a message. Can I send you my Instagram link? Let's see if I have this on the thing here, on the doobly-doo. There we go. Can I send you my Instagram link? Just take a screenshot and send it back to me. It's for my IG. And what I've seen actually was pretty common is if you don't respond in a timely fashion, they send you a question mark, like, hey, this is urgent. This is how it opens. So the first thing you have to understand is as soon as you get a message, it doesn't matter who it's from, that crosses, I'll use a term from the movie, crosses the streams, right? It's like, you're going to get an image. I want you to take that image and then send it to me. It's like, wait a minute. So we went from a link, right, to an image, and now I'm sending it to you. You just bypassed all forms of security. You have been socially engineered. You have been socially engineered. This is called social engineering. Your account was not hacked. You were hacked because you believed that when you got this message, in my case, this is from Bang On Engineering, right? And I'm sorry he's not with us today because what happened? His account got compromised. So you got this message and you say, oh, I know him. I trust him. And you respond, that's called social engineering. Somebody stole that account and you believe it. So anytime something like that happens, it's really important to stop and think. What I've done on occasion, and what you may see in some of these slides, is I've said, oh, sure, let me, I'll do that. By the way, how's Mary? Did she get over COVID? Of course, there is no Mary, right? And you'll get, oh, no, Mary's fine. There it is. And we should be okay with people say, like, I'll tell you, the thing that triggered this whole thing for me was Alfred Lyon getting hacked. Man, was I angry. I'm still angry, but I'm doing something about it on several fronts, only one of which we're going to talk about here, and that is the one that is this. But when Alfred got hacked, I was really, really pissed off. So I went over to Facebook, and I connected with Alfred on Facebook. Now, did I believe that I actually was talking to Alfred? Because I messaged him, and I said, hey, how's it going? You look great, because he posted a video. You look great. Glad you're home. How's it going? And he comes back, and he says, oh, I'm feeling much better. I've got a long road to go, but my Instagram account was hacked. He told me that. I already knew it, of course. So now, am I talking to Alfred? So I sent him two questions. I'm not going to tell you what the questions were, that I knew that he would know the answer to off the top of his head. And it turns out I was wrong about one of them, but I was right about the other one. He came back with the answer in a second or two, and I said, that's Alfred. Okay, so I did a little authentication to make sure that's who I was talking to. So from that point, I was able to communicate with him. You have to do that. So especially on direct messaging, if you are communicating with somebody and you get a weird request, or they ask, well, you get a weird request. It could be a request for money, a request for an action, like please screenshot this thing or whatever, or please go to this address, or please send me money. The very next thing you need to do is authenticate and make sure that the communications is happening with the party you think it's happening with. So I have a relative who received an email from a friend. This was an email scam. And the email said, I'm traveling, I'm stuck in, enter the city here, and I lost my passport. I need help. Can you wire me some money? And it was a 4-digit amount of money. And they said, oh, that's awful. Because, right, let's go through what goes through the head of the person that received this message. I like traveling. That would be terrible if that happened to me when I was traveling. Of course I'm going to help. Let me wire that money immediately. And out the money went. I don't have to tell you the rest of the story. The money was gone. So that was an email scam. So the first thing you do is you authenticate. And it could be a simple little question. And for example, I could say if I was talking to Adam, who's here, I would say, hey, sure, I'd be happy to help you, Adam. By the way, did you get those round PFG stones that I sent you last week? Which I, of course, didn't send, and he didn't ask for. Let's see what he says. And if he says, oh, I got them, they're great. Or if he says, what the hell are you talking about? You sent me stones three months ago. I didn't ask you for it. Okay, so you can authenticate, and that's what you should do. And hi guys, Masood is in, Tom is in. Adam says they were delicious. Adam, if you ate those little roundels that I sent you, I would like to have you see my dentist and take a cut, because that'll be very interesting. All right, so there's the beginnings of our scam. Okay, hey, can you send a screenshot to me? Now, once this started happening, and it happened to Alfred, you know, if it happens to you and you say, what do I do? And you go to the Instagram webpage, and they say, if you've been hacked, do the following things. Good luck. You are months away from a resolution. Hey, Proteum, welcome aboard. So it's terrible, and it's terrible what happened to Alfred, because he needs that now. He needs the communications channel right now, and he doesn't need. There's a word in Yiddish which is tsuris, which means like pain. He doesn't need the tsuris from that. So, okay. So I have some more examples of things that have happened from members of our community, and I just want to share them with you. If you're on YouTube and you're watching the slides, here's the next one. And another DM link. Now this one came from Alfred's account to our friend Tom Lipton. Okay, and the interesting thing is, it's pretty obvious from the conversation. Tom sent me the string, but he kept like the last discussion he had with Alfred was about carbide prices, and it was back in December, and they just had an exchange about carbide prices, recycling prices, and then yesterday he gets a message. What does it say? Can I send you my Instagram link? Just take a screenshot and send it back to me. It's for my IG. Now, if I hold these two phrases up and look at them, okay, they are identical. They're totally identical. Exactly the same phrase. Every comma, every apostrophe is exactly the same. So this is a cut and paste job. So these people, they might not even have a super strong command of the language, and they're cut and pasting the magic paragraph, and they're sending it along. Okay, I think. Did I put that in the right order? No, I put that in the wrong order. Hang on. Okay, so here's the slide from Tom. We had a little fun. I sent Tom a phrase in a Nigerian language, which was an insult, and I had him send that back to the guy. Now I'm trying to divine which country this is coming from. So he sends, you can see it on YouTube, he sends the phrase and didn't get a rise out of the guy. So either the guy's really, really good or he's not in Nigeria. I'm thinking not Nigeria, so this might be India. So Tom goes on, he says, hey, Alfred, how was that nice vacation you had recently? Now listen carefully. The attacker says, pretty good, but I'm currently in the hospital for tumor/cancer surgery. Two problems with that. Number one, the attacker has done research, has learned from what was posted. Not bad, pretty smart. The second thing the attacker failed at is that Alfred wasn't in the hospital. He was already home. So those that know Alfred knew that. So this is a surefire perfect authentication that this is an attacker. Of course, we already knew that. So then the attacker goes on and says, "How have you been?" And then Tom and I had chatted, and he came up with this great line. He says, "Sorry to hear about that. Carbide cancer? Question mark?" And the attacker says, "Yes." Now, how brilliant was that line from Tom, right? Pretty brilliant, because if it was Alfred, he knows what carbide is. So the attacker says, "Yes, I have carbide cancer." Then he says this, listen carefully. He says, "I'm trying to access my old Instagram on my new phone, and Instagram didn't allow me. They showed me 2 of my friends that I can contact to help me receive the link." So now, this is like level 2 scamming. Better story, right? So then, I think that was the end of the conversation that Tom sent me. He says, "Bummer about the carbide cancer. That sucks. I hear that a Hankstifer enema will reduce the symptoms and give you some relief." I love Tom Lipton. So, again, as Adam said in the chat, waste their time. You know, if you have time to spend to waste their time, that's a sport, right? I'm checking chat here. Okay. So, again, sounded plausible, was tested with authentication knowledge, and failed. Proteum says they used to send that second part with the first part, but then realized they could just get away with the first part. Yeah. And when we look at the mathematics of this, you'll see why they don't have to work that hard. Okay. Moving back to, I got these things out of order this morning when I was doing it. So this is a whole bunch of stuff here. This was from another one of our guys. Again, all of it portrayed to come from Alfred. And in this case, I had already put the word out, and this guy who, I apologize, I don't remember who it is, but I'd have to go to my phone, but my phone's busy. He engaged this guy, and he said, "Hey, scumbag, you aren't Alfred Lyon." By the way, that's kind of what I did also. And he basically says, "You should be ashamed of yourself for what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. How much would it cost you to get this account back?" And they said $1,000. And then they said, listen to what the attacker says. "I dearly sorry for anything I might have caused." First thing you know is that this is a non-native English speaker. "How can I send you the money?" "You have to send it via Bitcoin." Now, our friend says, "Okay, I could do that. I have a Coinbase account." "Okay, you have to purchase Bitcoin worth. Then I will send you my wallet address." "I'm sorry, honestly, I have to foot some bills." So now the attacker is looking for some sympathy. What do we call this? Social engineering. Okay? And then there, and it's in the YouTube video, there's the Bitcoin wallet address. Now there may actually be some value to the Bitcoin wallet address. The attacker says, "That's the wallet address. Copy and paste it to avoid errors." Thank you. That's nice customer service, helping us avoid errors. Our guy says, "Will do. $1,000, right? And then he says, "Do you steal a lot of identities on Instagram and hold them for ransom, or only a few?" And the attacker says, "Yes, $1,000. It wasn't intentional, though. It's bad to steal others' identities." Okay? Social engineering. So then our guy says, I'm new to stealing identities on Instagram. If I give you $2,000, will you show me how? And then the attacker says, send it first, then I will trust me. That's an exact quote. And then our guy says, don't you already trust yourself? And then the attacker says, send the money, I will give you everything you need. Social engineering. Oh, does this make you ill or what? So here we see, the social engineering continue. Oh, Chuck, how are you? Yeah, it's all going to be on, you can review it later for sure. Nice to see you, Chuck. So, by the way, Chuck, I know you just showed up because you were busy cleaning your wood shop. The pump just started. By the way, I'm going to go turn off the pump. Give me a second. I'm sorry, but this is, it's a working shop. So, Chuck, I was going to ask you a question. Did you get one of these scam requests on Instagram? Adam says, this all seems like more work than having a job. These guys are making a lot of money, and they're sitting at a computer all day, and they're in a country where that's not a bad deal. And by a lot of money, Firmwork says, Jesus Christ, what are you pumping? You don't want to know. Joel Engineer, welcome aboard. Okay. So, yeah, Chuck says he thinks so, but also gets email. So then the scammer says, where are you located? And our guy says, Nebraska, USA. It is a diaphragm pump. Good call. It's my coolant cleaning system. So right after he says, I'm in Nebraska, USA, our attacker very helpfully sends a list of all of the Bitcoin ATMs in his area, in Nebraska. Isn't that nice? That's really nice. Okay? Yeah, I will read your comment, Paul, and almost. So the scammer goes ahead and not only gives him, this, but also sends him a QR code, okay, so that it makes it easy to send the Bitcoin. Isn't that is helpful customer service? I think that's really nice customer service. So Paul says, to be quite honest, I would strongly recommend against communicating with a scammer at all. At a minimum, by engaging, you have given them one bit of information, that you are an actual person and actively communicate. You may think it's no big deal and that there's literally nothing you can, quote, say that will make the situation situation better or go away. I tend to agree with you. So if you do it, just know what you're doing. And you do have to monitor what information you give away. For example, I don't know if Nebraska was actually where our guy was located, but if I was doing that and I was playing the same game, I would have said I'm located in Hawaii, which, as you can tell, I clearly am. Yeah. Okay. Almost Machining is commenting. But one of the points that Almost makes is that there's a bunch of videos on YouTube about good guys scamming the scammers, and it's worth watching a couple of them. Okay, so I'm going to address your question next, Adam. Adam says, what's Meta/Instagram's efforts to combat this? I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because I thought about that pretty deeply. So the bottom line here, as we have seen, is that the failure mode is social engineering. It's the weakness that we have. Now, what are our weaknesses? Number one, we're pretty nice people. You know, you come show up at my shop and you say, hey, listen, and this, by the way, this is based on reality. Can you weld this stuff for me? I'm going on vacation and I need this thing to work. And what am I going to say? I'm going to say, of course I will. You know, you're my friend. I would do anything for my friend. I had a complete stranger approach me from a couple of towns away who said, I got this bar of titanium, a round bar that I want to slice up into discs, and all I have is a saw and it's not doing it. Can you help me out? And I said, my knee-jerk reaction is, yeah, I'll help you out. Never met the guy. Now, this hasn't happened yet, by the way, so don't panic. But it's social engineering. This has been going on since the dawn of time. Okay? I have a buddy of mine who I called back in the 80s. He got at least one letter and at least one fax about, hey, can you send some money or something? Basically, it's the same thing, and it was back when they had to use clay tablets and cuneiform to send the messages. So this is nothing new, but it is social engineering. There are no technical defects here. Let me say that again. There are no technical defects here. However, commenting on what Meta/Instagram is doing, and I truly hope that a certain gentleman that I had email exchanges with this past week is watching this. I'm going to make the argument two ways. I'm going to make the argument that Meta is doing a good job, and then I'm going to make the argument that Meta is doing a bad job. So let me take the good job first. Instagram costs you nothing. No, don't, no. It was not Mark. Trust me. Guy didn't even, I think he went to Harvard. Why would I talk to anyone who went to Harvard? So I'm going to take the side that they're doing a good job. Instagram is free, okay? Instagram is fun. Instagram has caused development of communities. Instagram has enabled businesses, okay? I make no bones about the fact that my business in making and selling PFG stones has been largely on Instagram. I mean, I have customers all over the world now, and I have big commercial customers that are repeat customers, and I have a nice business. And 100%, no, 90% of my marketing has been just Instagram posts. And 10% of it is I have a website. And that's it. I have paid, do I pay anything? I'm trying to think if I do any of the extra services on it. No, I think I've paid $0 to Instagram. That's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty freaking good deal. Plus, Instagram allows me to secure my account, we're going to get to this in a minute, with a strong password and two-factor authentication. I know how to use those. Nobody's hacking my account. So Instagram's doing a pretty damn good job. And statistically, they could probably make the argument that their incursions are a very low percentage. And you'll see where the interface is here, or the fault line. And they make it easy. If I lose my password, I could say, hey, I lost my password, and they don't give me my password in reply. They send a link to my device, which is more secure. It is. So the security is pretty good. The service is free. I'm talking to a bunch of guys right now. I'm live on Instagram. Am I going to get a bill from Instagram? I am not going to get a bill. DJ Berg says the algorithm just heard you and learned from that. Maybe. So Instagram's doing a pretty decent job, and we have to do our job because social engineering is going to happen no matter what the scenario. It happens on Instagram, it happens on Facebook, it happens on you name it. It happens via mail, it happens via phone. The number of phone calls I get that I don't answer is 80%. Okay. So now I'm going to flip the coin and say Instagram's doing a lousy job. So this whole scam, the Instagram scam, is all predicated on this sending you a reset link. Well, when they send you the reset link, there should be a paragraph that says, warning, this link goes directly to your account. Do not give it to anybody. Do not screenshot it. There might even be a way technologically to put a tag in there that prevents screenshotting. It's possible, but it would require cooperation with Apple, and it would have to go into the Android system too. But holy hell, you could see this happening, and you can come up with a solution. Now, Meta might already see this happening and might already have a solution, okay? And it's just that it's such a big ship that to turn that ship 30 degrees is a lot of effort. That could be the problem. I'm not making excuses. Adam asks a question. This is a question for the ages. What and when do you think was the first social engineering scam? Hey, eat this apple. It's good for you. Okay. I don't want to dwell on that. Welcome everybody who's joining now, including my fellow scammers. Morgan, welcome aboard. We said the same thing almost the same time. Yeah, it's the earliest lesson, isn't it? So there you go. That is what's going on Instagram specifically. I think I've given you the inoculation for understanding, what's happening and how to avoid it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a post, and I'm going to make the graphic later. You don't have to use my graphic. You do whatever you want. But I want you to post to your account about this. Everybody who's listening to this, post to your account. And again, I will put up my goal is a 1-slide graphic that teaches the important things about killing the screenshot scam. Stop the screenshot scam. And that's it. So that's the first part of our goal today, and it took almost all of our time to get it out there. So does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Joel. Joel says, brilliant summary of the Instagram pros and cons. I appreciate it. I mean, that's what they do. The way they make money, of course, is they're putting your eyeballs on paid advertisements, which is the way everything has always worked. Every newspaper, every magazine, it's not a big surprise. I don't understand what you just said, Chris, but I appreciate you being here. Okay. So we're going to move on to the whole topic, the whole general topic of good personal security. Those flat stone ads. That's right. I saw a flat stone ad. Where is it? over there. Look in that corner, YouTubers. If you went to pfgstones.com, you will see one of those ads. Just kidding. So let's talk about good personal security. And we're going to get off the Instagram specific topic to a more general topic. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see an email I got. I literally got this email within the last 48 hours. I can't make this stuff up. This is what it looks like. Okay. And it appears to have come from E-Trade. Okay. Now, okay, Chris said, this is interesting. Chris said, if you don't pay for something, you are the product. It's true. It's true. Because your eyeballs are connected to the ads, and your eyeballs are connected to your wallet. All right, so getting back to this. I get this email within the last 48 hours, which is not unusual. I get these things constantly, okay? And look, it comes from E-Trade. I recognize E-Trade. You know why? Because I had an E-Trade account 30 years ago, okay? So it says, Dear customer, an attempt to log on to your account today was blocked. Your security is our top priority. We have placed your account on hold until this concern is resolved by you. How many people did they send this email to? Thousands. What percentage of them have email accounts? E-Trade accounts. Okay. To view and validate your activities, please follow the secure link below. And there's a link. View your activities. And there's another link for further information. Log on to your account at any time. These links don't go where you think they go. They go to the attacker. And the attacker will put up a fake login screen for E-Trade, and you dutifully put in your username and password, and they got you. Okay? But if you look at the from address of the email, it's not E-Trade. In fact, it's posterplus.com. So, first rule is when you get one of these things, read the from address, hover your cursor over the link. Don't click on it, and read. Usually in the bottom left corner, you can see where the link comes from. Or don't waste any of your time. Just hit delete. I don't have an E-Trade account. Okay. So they're sending that to thousands and thousands and thousands of accounts. Maybe they got a database that says, here's a database of E-Trade customers. That's valuable, okay? So that's going to improve their numbers. Let's go back to the Instagram thing and take a quick analysis, mathematical analysis of what's happening on Instagram. So you find a guy that's got 500 followers. You do the scam on 500 followers. What percentage are going to send you their link? Let's say, for example, that 10 of them, you own 10 accounts from that exercise. And let's say each of those 10 accounts have 500 followers. Do you see where this is going? So this has gone exponential. Now, if I had a guess as to why in the last few months it's gotten out of control, it could be one of two things. One is this is just the curve. This is just, and people are getting multiple messages. The other thing that could be is that the scammers have lowered their requirements to say, let's not go after people that have over 5,000 followers. Let's go over people that have over 500 followers. And they're tuning the system. Yep. So DJ Berg got attacked with an encryption scam where he got a virus which encrypted his hard drive. Same thing. That came from clicking a link in an email. So the mathematics make it worth it for these guys to do what they're doing. And then after that, it's extortion. Okay, the second thing that I think is very important is to have a strong password and a unique password for every use of a password. Okay, so every site, every account gets a unique, strong password. So there are trusted password managers to do this. I use LastPass, okay? There's also Bitwarden, and that is an open source version of SAME. There's a lot of good things about it. That's not what I use. I am a legacy user of LastPass. So, hey, scammers, if you're going to send me an email from LastPass telling me that I need to update my account, yeah, save your time. 1Password is another one. Digit 1 password. I put these in the graphics, but there's a whole bunch of them. If I had to recommend 3 to you, it would be LastPass, Bitwarden, 1Password. And the way this works is you every time you go to a site where you need a password, you use the tool to generate a strong password. It will do a better job than you. It will generate a 20-character, completely random password, and it will store that information in a database. That database is on your computer, and then that database gets encrypted and then sent to the server. The encryption happens as a function of your username and password for that service. So there's a master password. You need to remember one strong master password, and everything else is stored on the password manager. We can get into how do you create a strong password that a human being can actually remember. Topic for another day. Otherwise, people tend to use the same password over and over again, and that is disaster, because you're going to lose your password through a breach or some other way, and then they're going to have you owned, okay? So use a good password manager. Connected to that is another thing which many people don't necessarily understand, and that's this thing called two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication means that you have an app running on your phone. Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. You could do it by an authentication app, you could do it by SMS, and you could do it by email. That's in decreasing layers of desirability. Yep, that's right. Paul Morley correctly says, if you give up your password by logging into their scam webpage, they will immediately try to use this password and your username on hundreds of other sites automatically. This is correct. So, two-factor authentication. The best thing is an authenticator app. The second best thing is using SMS. That means that the site is going to text you a security code. And the third best thing is email, where they're going to email you a security code. Let me talk about them in that order. If you, for example, use LastPass, and I'm nearly certain this will be true about all the other password managers, they will have their own authenticator app, which you should use. The reason they all have it is there was established a standard for authentication apps. So once the standard was established, they can all make an app that adheres to the standard. So let's say I wanted to go to a website like the New York Times, okay? And I'm going to pay the New York Times $7 a month or whatever it is, and I have a username and a password, but I also say to the New York Times, I want two-factor authentication. So up comes a page that says, set up your two-factor authenticator, and it has a QR code. I run my authenticator app I say add a new site. It says take a picture of the QR code. I take a picture of the QR code, and it puts a new line in my authenticator. And that thing now gives me a 6-digit number that changes every minute. Okay? So when I go to log in, I have to give my username and my password and the authenticator code. So if you have lost your username and password to some scammer, you have not lost your authentication code. This is a huge increase in security over simple username and password. First of all, it's time dependent. So even if somebody looked over your shoulder while you entered your username and your password and your authenticator code into some site, in 1 minute, that authenticator code is useless and it will regenerate. Also, you're going to get a different line in your authenticator app for each site you set up with two-factor authentication, which means none of them relate to each other. This is a must. You have to do this. It's called two-factor authentication. Now, not everybody in the world has caught up to providing this as an option. So another option is that sometimes you're offered is to have a code texted to you. This is second best, okay? Because again, you have this code flying through the ether coming to you on another channel, which is good for security. However, it is crackable. Somebody can intercept it. Okay, the probability is very low. So it's much better than not having two-factor authentication, but it's not as good as the authenticator app. The third possible is the same thing with email. Let me say a word about email, and I know we're at the top of the hour here, but we're going to keep going until we're finished. Let me say a word about email. Email is like sending postcards. Okay? Everybody who handles that postcard can read your postcard. Email is completely insecure. One day, email may be secure, and you can take great pains to send an encrypted email to somebody who knows how to receive an encrypted email, and then it's secure as it goes through the process of being delivered. But unless you do that, it's not secure. So, again, if you get an authentication code via email, it went through a second path, that's good. It's very useful, but if it's in a high-value situation, it has its flaws. But I would rather you do that than not use two-factor authentication at all. Okay? Very important. So again, if you go to LastPass, Bitwarden, 1Password, I know for sure LastPass does it. They will have an authenticator app. Google offers the Google Authenticator app for free. The reason I like LastPass is that the encrypted ball of noise, which contains my passwords, which is stored on the server, gets backed up, right? So even if I lose my phone, if my phone goes into a shredder tomorrow, I can get my authenticator codes back from LastPass. And of course, the most critical part of that whole thing is that master password, that one master password. I'll tell you another story. My relatives of mine went on a cruise, and the cruise ship had satellite-based internet. And they also had a little office, business office area with a few computers. You know where this is going, right? So they figured they would check their email while they're on this cruise. How cool is that? So they went and they checked their email. Well, the computer on the ship was infected with a virus called a keylogger that logged all that information and sent it off to the scammers. And by the time they got back from their cruise, it was a disaster. Okay? So, again, two-factor authentication, critical to add to the username and password for your security. So let's go over the checklist for your personal security. Number one, trust no direct messages until you confirm via a second channel. So if I get a direct message from you, I'm going to confirm that it's you. Now, I use an app called Signal, okay? And Signal is a open source encrypted messaging app. But it also has the feature where if I meet you in person, okay, and I know you're you, you could show me your phone, I'll get a QR code, and I could snap it with Signal and vice versa, and now you are not only a contact on Signal, you are verified. Okay? And now I could be halfway around the world, and when I communicate with you, I know it's you. That's called authentication, and it is encrypted communication. That's encryption, two different things. If I get a DM from you, like let's say I get a DM from Stefan Gottsvinter, right? And Stefan says, "Hey, could you send me a set of stones?" Now, normally I would say, "Stefan, of course, whatever you need." But is that really Stefan? So I would ask some incisive questions and make sure. Hey, watch this says, I've been using Signal a lot more lately. I've been very pleased with it. Signal's great. And it's a nonprofit organization. They deserve your 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 bucks that you throw at them. It's worth it. Okay, so trust no direct messages until you confirm via a second channel. Use one password per site. Do not reuse passwords. Assume that your password, which is stored on the other site, is going to be compromised. It's going to get stolen. Just assume that, okay? Use a strong password. A strong password should be unrecognizable as words, patterns. It should be truly random. The use of a strong password is easy with a password manager, okay? And you have to come up with one strong password to remember, and that's it. Use a password manager. I've given you a couple of choices. Don't use a password manager that some hasn't been vetted, and the ones that I have recommended to you have been vetted. The one that I personally use is LastPass. Use two-factor authentication, preferably with the app, not SMS or email. But if you have to, you could use them in that order. And finally, do not click links in emails or DMs. On the topic of links, there are these services called link shorteners, okay? And you've probably seen them before. One of them is called Bitly, and their URL is bit.ly. So here's how it works. Let's say you have this long URL, this long web address, which is an incorrect term, but this long URL that you want to send to somebody, and you want to make it easier. So you go to Bitly and you say, here's this long URL, give me a little short URL that's easier to send, okay, or easier to speak, right? And they'll say, sure. They'll take your big URL, they'll stick it in a database, they'll assign a little URL which says bit.ly/ and then maybe 5 characters after that. 5 random characters. Now you got this little short thing that you could send, or you got a little short thing you could make a QR code out of that makes a better QR code. All good. The problem is that when you get a shortened URL, you can't read it. Even if you're a super savvy geek, you can't look at it and know where it's going. So you get this email and it says, hey, E-Trade wants to, confirm your identity. Please click here. And the link is a bit.ly link, bit.ly/ random. I'm not going to click that link. No way, no how, not happening. So to first order, look at the link. And while we're on the topic of things like E-Trade accounts or bank accounts or credit card accounts, you get a notice from your bank and it says, hey, you need to change your zip code. Here's a link. Now, a lot of banks, there's still a bunch of idiots out there in computer security, and I get emails like that with a clickable link, And they should not be asking their customers to click links, but they do. So if you hover over it, you could read the link. But here's a better solution. This is what I want you to do from now on. The bank says, hey, you got to change your zip code. Set the email aside, open up a web browser, go to your bank account, go to where they're telling you they want you to go, and check it. Do not use the link. Use the first principles, okay, and go to the website. That is very important. Do not click links in email. Do not click links in email. I want to hear it from everybody. Do not click links in email. So that's it. In a much shorter period of time than we spent on the Instagram, I've given you some tips for what to do as far as your personal checklist for computer security. As we close here, before we take questions, I just want to say that I am imploring everybody who hears this or listens to this or watches this to take the slide that I'm going to make, or make your own version, and I want you to send it to, put it on all your accounts and ask everybody else to do the same thing. We're going to stop the screenshot scam. Stop the screenshot scam. And I will do that before close of business on this fine Sunday. So watch for it on my various channels. At this point, I am totally out of gas, and I will be happy to take questions or criticisms or snide remarks while I have some tea. I'm sorry it went so long today, but we had to get this done. Hey, watch this. Says you had a message yesterday attempting the same ploy. Yeah, it works on the phone too, by the way. Phone messages, phone calls are not exempt from everything we've said. And by message, I understand you probably mean a text message. Did I wear everybody out? I might have. So, while you guys are thinking of questions, Alfred Lyon is home, and he made a video on Facebook, which did I repost the video? No, I don't think I reposted the video, but I reposted a screenshot of it, and he actually sounds and looks good. So, yeah, Adam says it seems like we're in a golden age of scams. I think that's because we're in a golden age of communication. I don't think scams are new. I think the communication is just so trivially easy to access. Hey, thank you, Deflagrate. I appreciate you very much. Yeah, but the ability to communicate so easily and so inexpensively, regardless of your income, right? There's a word I don't know how to say it. I'm not an economist. What kind of an income do you need in order to get on the internet? And the answer is shockingly low. You can go to a library. You could literally go to your library and sit down on a library computer and get on the internet and scam the world. You can. So the fact that you can do that now is why we're getting all these scams. And yeah, there's things that Instagram could do better. I think it's just a slow machine. And then I think I forgive them. But we have to get smarter. We have to get better. A bunch of guys are checking in right now. I'm sorry to say you're checking into a closing event. We're going to wrap this up. I don't know how random your username is, but it's one of the most random, brilliant usernames I've ever seen, Mr. Safrumerwitz. Yeah. Hey, watch this. Says managing at scale is always difficult. Absolutely. DJ Berg says sit outside a library on an old device. No need for a new device or the library to be even open. And sometimes that's true. Ugly Skull says, I think these scammers target immediate family members like husband, wife, and or kids. So our safety measure for this is we are not connected via social media. I'm not sure if that works. So I have a social media family. I mean, we are very connected on social media. I think it has to do with the age of the kids and the education of everybody. So if your kids are pretty savvy, and believe me, your kids are going to be more internet savvy than you are, full stop. At an appropriate age, they're going to be on the internet and they have to be trained. And if you don't want to let them on the internet until an appropriate age, I think that's called good parenting. Instagram just sent me a notification and you're ending it. What does that mean? I don't understand. So as we close here, I would like everybody to please send me your bank account information. You can just DM it to me. Thank you, Almost. I appreciate it. Yeah, but it's, oh, really? You got a notification from Instagram that my live was starting? Instagram, jeez. Yeah, there's a problem with time zones, and I don't know how to fix it. I've seen evidence of what you're talking about with the scheduled, that's why I put it in the slide. I put the times right in the slide. Sigh. I will take some homework to look at the time zone issues, especially on Instagram, because I've tried. Maybe that explains a few things. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. When you send me your banking information, also send me your mother's maiden name. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Stand by for a post from me. I think it's going to be the very next post on my Instagram account with a graphic that we could make, I hate to use the term, go viral, and get it in front of everybody we care about and teach them to continue sharing it. Let's kill the Instagram screenshot scam. Okay, yes, sir. I will be sharing that post shortly. I hope everybody has an awesome day on this fine Sunday. I will check my email, K-Bonk, and go have a good time. I worked my butt off on Friday and Saturday, and I'm chilling out today. So this was my most important task today. And I'm going to go get that graphic done for you guys. And then I'm putting my feet up. Take care, guys. Have fun.